We are at halftime here. DeMatha versus Ireton. DeMatha up by a score of 40-15. And this is the moment we've all been waiting for. We bring in Charlie Kenny, class of 1968. Charlie, how you doing?
All right, Coach.
Great to have it. First of all, what did you think of the first half?
First half was really great. We're doing well.
That was very insightful, Charlie. All right, so let's go back. You're class of 1968. So you're here from 64 to 68. But didn't your connection with DeMatha start a couple of years earlier? Wasn't there a little recruiting going on with a certain coach?
There was.
Tell that story?
There was. Morgan Wooten approached me when I was about 12 years old at St. Mark's in Adelphi. And the rumor is he lent me $3 on the big six-wheel, but turned it into $9. And when it came time to make the decision to come to DeMatha, I said, that's where I want to go.
Now, he lent you $3, turned it into $9. Did you ever give him the money back?
I did not.
I got to figure at some point in the not-too-distant future, you're going to get a real big bill with interest.
Yeah, Mike Bray at Notre Dame made a comment one time that it was not a gift, it was a loan.
No doubt in my mind. All right, so you come here. You went to school at St. Mark's, right?
That's correct.
Went to school at St. Mark's. You come here as a freshman. Now, you're a lawyer, very successful businessman, smart guy, whatever. I got to figure a freshman year, piece of cake, right? No problem?
No, I was never a good student. I struggled academically. I had 85 detentions that year.
85. So was
they
it
don't,
about...
They don't allow that anymore.
Okay. So was it about that point you figured, well, you developed an interest in the law. I figured if this is the way my career is going to go, I better learn the rules.
No, the interest in law didn't happen until I was 36.
Okay. So you go through here, all right? Now, who were some of the teachers? I got to imagine you had some of the legends.
Sure. I had Morgan Wooten for history in ninth grade, had Ray Smith in summer school in order to get into DeMatha, and subsequently for Algebra 1. Had the great Buck Offit as a senior.
Mm-hmm. Now, tell me your story about Buck and the writing. How did that go?
Well, when I was a junior, I was walking down the hallway, and Mr. Offit, he wasn't Dr. Offit at that point in time, grabbed me and brought me into the faculty lounge and said, son, you're going to write an essay on Wednesday. I'm going to give you a topic on Wednesday. You're going to hand in the essay on Friday, and I'm going to give it back to you on Monday because it's not going to be any good. And I said, Mr. Offit, I'm not in your class. And he says, son, you cannot write. So for an entire year, I had to write an essay once a week. I had to write it twice, really. So, but you know, I wouldn't be a lawyer today if it wasn't for Buck.
Mm-hmm. Now, who was your school counselor?
Back then, it was John Moylan. John Moylan was a French teacher and a counselor. And, you know, when I became a senior, turned 18 and called me down to a classroom. Didn't have offices back then. And he says, Kenny, you failed your manual dexterity test. Well, again, not being a bright student, I didn't know what that was.
Right.
And he said, you wouldn't be a plumber, electrician, or carpenter. I said, well, Mr. Moylan, I don't want to be. He says, we both know you're too stupid to go to college. At which time he said, you have the afternoon off to go enlist in the Army or enlist in the military, which was right in the middle of the Tet Offensive.
Okay. So you think that was his version of like scared straight, you better get on track or you're going overseas? Or
I think he wanted me to be cannon fodder, to tell you the truth. I'm not sure.
Now, when you were here, you were also a manager for the basketball team, right?
Right. I managed the JV team, and then I managed the varsity team my junior, senior year. Mm-hmm. We were national champions, mythical national champions in 1968.
Okay.
And that team's in the Hall of Fame.
So I know a lot of the young guys that come to DeMatha, they come here because they want to be the next Adrian Dantley, the next Victor Oladipo, the next Markelle Fultz, the next whatever it is like that. We've had some great managers. Right, Jeff Hathaway, Mikey Zahn was up at Maryland, Teddy Smith, who's on the radio out on the West Coast, Dan Cooper, who's one of our loyal listeners, who's always listening to the internet thing. Do you think they came here because they wanted to be the next Charlie Kenny?
Well, I'm not so sure about that. But I tell you what, it was one of the greatest experiences to be the manager. I kept the stats, too. Mm-hmm. I know we don't have time to go to the Long Island Lutheran story, but I didn't do so well on the stats that time because we came back about 20, 30 points. Uh-huh. We didn't have the three-point play back then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was great. I know that's a great experience, and, you know, I always felt that, you know, a good manager is worth three players. You know, and Dan McMahon always says, you know, if you got two even teams out there, it's always going to come down to who has the best managers. So,
you know, I got a good story I haven't told you before, I don't think. James Brown was on that team in '68.
Whatever happened to him?
And he made big time. He made big time. But he was a basketball player, not a football player.
Right.
And he didn't show up in 60, I guess it was 67, 68. He didn't show up to practice. And Morgan comes to me and says, Kenny, where's James? I said, Morgan, I said, Coach. I said, I didn't know where he is. You find out. So it turned out that James Brown had a pair of U.S. Keds. Back in those days, the shoes to wear were Chuck Taylors.
Mm-hmm.
I said, Coach, he doesn't. Everybody's teasing him because he doesn't have Chuck Taylors. Well, next day he was at practice, had a new pair of Chuck Taylors.
Mm-hmm. You never know how those things work out. Maybe you took your $9 and went out and bought a pair.
I didn't give him the $9, so I still got the $9.
All right, so you go off. You not only get your associate's degree, you get your 4-year degree, right? You go on, and all of a sudden you end up back here in Hyattsville. You're on staff from 80 to 83, right? What was that like?
That's correct. That's correct. Buck Offit tipped me off that a fellow named Ed Love, who had become a lawyer, had vacated a position, and he was teaching. They had a vacancy for Business Law 1 and 2 and Micro and Macroeconomics. I was already teaching at Prince George Community College at that point in time, and so I came on the staff here as a faculty member between 80 and 83.
Okay, and who were some of the guys you taught?
Well, I taught Carlton Valentine, Benny Bolton, Danny Ferry, David Aldrich, a lot of good young men. You know, one of the most rewarding things in my life has been a coach. I coached CYO, and to be a teacher. And these guys are in their late 40s, early 50s now. And they come up and say hello to you. They've been successful. Very rewarding.
Well, I teach up. I've been in 307 for umpty 9 years. And I've always said the neatest thing for me is the guys have been gone for a couple of years. They're off. They come back. They knock on the door and they tell me. And it's always the same thing. You know, they talk about how well they were prepared, you know, how proud they are to be a DeMatha alum. It's just that they're doing so great. You know, and the tremendous amount of respect they have for the faculty because now they're on the other side. They see it. They didn't always see it, you know, when they were getting 84 detentions and things like that. You get the other side, you start to appreciate it.
Sure.
Now, the other association you have at DeMatha, besides being the Alumni Association president, is you've been with our mock trial team for 24 years. What's that like?
That's absolutely wonderful. We probably have a dozen fellows, students that have gone on to become attorneys. We got one fellow from a couple years ago, is at Harvard Law School now, Cameron Pritchard. We won a state championship in 2001, bested 133 high schools in the state of Maryland. Last year, we came in third out of 136 teams throughout the school, throughout the state. Very rewarding. We've got a match this coming week up against Bowie. Right now, this season, we're 2 wins, no losses. We will probably progress to what they call the elimination rounds, and again, head towards Annapolis in the spring, hopefully do as well as we did last year.
All right, so we're running out of time. You graduated 49 years ago, all right? You're a very successful businessman. You got your law practice, whatever, but still, anything Tom Ponton runs, you're up here. You're doing the mock trial team. You seem to have your hands in almost everything at DeMatha. Why do you stay so close to the school?
The greatest decision I ever made was come to DeMatha. The brotherhood and the network that we have here at DeMatha is second to none for high schools or colleges throughout the country. It's just a very, very rewarding experience. Love working with the students, love working with the alumni, love working with the staff and faculty here. It's very rewarding to me. And it's convenient. I live a mile away from here, so it's very easy to do.
Well, Charlie, this is great. Thanks for stopping by. All right, we're going to get back to the second half, but
Thank
always
you.